Hosted by you/entertainerkey8563. For about 11 years now, I, 37M, have been pretty close with, let's call him John, 38M. We met at a job in my mid-20s and have been regular company up until the pandemic, during which our hangouts, including a circle of mutual friends, have declined but not ceased entirely. John and his partner, let's call her Jane, 36F, have been together for about 8 years now, engaged for a little under 2 years. Both have a child from previous relationships, so they have taken trips with their kids nearly every year. I've been happy to help by visiting their home, checking on things, taking care of their animals, etc., while they're gone. I've also helped them out with other projects and tasks over the years. Most recently, I picked up Jane from the airport after a work trip and got her home this past winter during a snowstorm because my vehicle could handle it. Generally, I have been present and helpful on top of our base friendship. About 5 weeks ago, I found out from a mutual friend that their wedding is coming up and that invites went out a while ago. Everyone in our circle was invited except for me. As a non-straight man, I've experienced being iced out of some of my straight friends' lives and events in ways both minor and pronounced, but this one has definitely made me think about my time and energy with people. I decided I would take the hint and begin to distance myself. 3 days ago, John texted me asking if I would be around in early to mid-August. I said I would be. John then asked if I wouldn't mind visiting, as I have before, to look after the animals and property. I replied, sorry, I can't. He called to talk about it. We had the same conversation, polite but a bit tense, so I finally said, I just won't be visiting your home. After a moment of silence, I mentioned that I was disappointed to be the only person in our group of friends not invited to his wedding, and that I can't continue helping like I have before if I'm just a background friend at this point. I wrapped up the call positively and sincerely with me wishing them a good wedding and trip, and that maybe we can grab drinks soon. 2 days ago, Jane reached out, sending follow-up texts saying John was upset about what I said, and also with her because she made the final decisions about friend invites. She said I was taking this the wrong way, there was limited capacity, and the others in our friend group have partners who took up space. She added that she hopes I'll change my mind and help them out because it would put John's mind at ease. I'm not entitled to the company of others or invitations to anybody's events, but am I wrong for setting my own boundaries in response to theirs? I try not to frame my friendships as transactional, but they obviously want something from me despite not inviting me and then avoiding even bringing it up until they needed help covering their honeymoon. Commenter. You're not in the wrong in the slightest. For them to do that and then ask for help like it's no big deal is completely shameless. What did your friend group have to say about it? Also, I don't think I saw you mention it anywhere, but what was John's reaction when you brought up the lack of a wedding invite? Op's response. For the first question, I was definitely surprised. The only reason I found out was because one of them, who lives a bit further away, reached out initially trying to coordinate some plans around the weekend of the wedding, assuming I'd been invited since John and I were close. I've let him follow up with the others, as I didn't want to interject so close to the wedding and make it about me. For the second question, John didn't say much. There was some silence after I cut through his line of questioning with the fact that I wouldn't visit his home at all. I said my piece about not being able to help if I'm not invited with our other friends, and out of awkwardness, I pivoted to a gracious wrap-up about wishing them well and maybe getting drinks sometime. There was a pause as he collected himself and said something like, thanks man, yeah, let's do that, before I decided to hang up. It's hard to peg down, but I picked up on some regret in his tone. Update 1. Yesterday afternoon, a few days after John initiated contact that led to this altercation, he reached out by text telling me the following. I want to take you up on that drink tomorrow if possible, and I want to apologize for my royal screw-ups in person. I agreed to meet. After we kicked off with a round of shots, John's first line was that he had failed me as a friend in this situation. With non-family invites, Jane apparently seemed very preoccupied with a philosophy of couples over singles at the wedding. He had previously voiced that he felt it was exclusionary and silly, but Jane prioritized couples on the first round of friend invites and told John it would be easier to fit in others after receiving RSVPs. John backed out and said he felt that going along with her initial plan of inviting the rest of our circle, who are, God bless them, coupled up, and not me was the best option, trusting that the RSVP thing would materialize. She ended up using the bit of space to plug in some more family. John admitted he basically folded and felt ashamed enough that he could not find a way to tell me. He knew reaching out to me about that favor was a risk but took it anyway because he wanted someone he could trust. My response was a materialization of everything he feared would happen, and in his words, deservedly so. He told me a wedding should be a gathering of your family and friends who have been a part of your lives and who you want to continue being part of your lives, and that I fit that bill to him by any measure. He said I've done more for him and his family over their relationship than most of the people on the guest list, including helping with trip coverage and building their back deck with him to share meals and host events over the last 6 years. He got visibly upset and said he couldn't believe Jane even considered holding my dating status against me after I got her home safely during a snowstorm earlier this year. He admitted he should have more adamantly confronted that reasoning the instant she voiced it. He was even more pissed about Jane reaching out to me the way she did after my original phone call with him. John acknowledged that it might come off as hollow at this point, but after a few exchanges with Jane, he said there would be no more nonsense and that I would at least get a proper invite and A+1 if I wanted. They would make it work if I even desired to attend at this point. He said he is not going to try to do panic damage control but will be upfront with our circle. One person has already dropped the wedding, and another couple has said something else, according to him, about his faults, because he and Jane deserve the blowback, and he needs to earn trust back if it's at all possible. He has also made it Jane's problem to find a friend who can come out for 9 days in a row to care for the home and pets. With a smirk, he mentioned she's having a hard time securing it and may likely have to hire help. I told John I really appreciated his owning up to this, and it was good to see the friend I knew shine through. I told him that I have always valued his and Jane's friendship, so it hurt when I was excluded and not even addressed. I felt close enough to be included. I also assured him that I didn't mean to complicate his wedding. I've always thought he and Jane were great for each other, and I have supported them as best as I can. I've been confused about what I did or didn't do to be iced out. I admitted it's hard to trust Jane again if she has been weighing the validity of my presence based on my relationship status, adding humorously that it's not like I haven't been trying, and they've met some of my previous long-term partners. He said he doesn't get it either and mentioned she has at least one good friend who is single that she may have burned a bridge with as well over her wedding philosophy. I told him the friendship will be changed and informed by this, at least for a while. I know he and Jane had a disagreement leading to this, but I hope the wedding goes on to be a good celebration. I informed him it feels best to take a pass on the invitation, but he said if there was a change of mind, up to the last minute, to let him know. He was kind and not desperate or pushy about it. John said the fault was his for not stepping up on my behalf. He apologized, stating that while he feels very lucky to have Jane in his life and thinks their marriage is a positive development, he told her this whole situation will have him questioning and second-guessing her judgment on social matters with his friends for the foreseeable future. According to him, this was quite a blow for her to hear, but she accepted it and apologized after their arguments about the subject. Before we parted ways in the parking lot, we gave each other a bro hug. John's voice broke a bit when he said he was sorry one last time, and I think mine did too when I forgave him. It was legitimately surprising and therapeutic to have John be so frank and accountable, but it was not unlike the friend I've known for most of my adult life. It was bittersweet, a makeup but also a breakup of sorts to what was previously an unquestioned and assumed strong trust and camaraderie. Maybe we can get there again. It seems possible, and it'd be nice. I'm sitting here after weeks of big feelings, now stewing on a different shade of big boy feelings. Thanks for processing with me, Reddit. Op in the comments. A lot of people had good things across the spectrum to share with me, and I've done my best to respond without getting too consumed and neglecting other things that need to be done. I was happy for John to talk with me. Maybe commenters are right, and they see me as something different than I thought we were as friends. Perhaps I've got some work to do to assert myself, and I've been a doormat up to this point. I know I have some soul searching to do about myself, how I see my relationship with John and Jane, and maybe my other friendships as well. This relationship felt a lot closer and more authentic at a different time, but it's hard to paint a fuller picture of that after a situation like this. Things change. As tempting as it is to accept the invitation and be there for John, I think I trust my instinct to let this be. If John meant what he said, and if Jane comes around, they'll make the effort to follow up. I will be putting some distance between us for a while, and time will tell. I'm glad we got a chance to talk because if this is the end, I feel good about giving him a chance to own it. As I've gotten older, I appreciate the hard work of taking on uncomfortable stuff. I made some plans for that weekend with a couple of other friends, which I'm looking forward to. Thanks for the words and insights, Reddit.